everybody. It's Friday. Thank God we made it, right? So, we're doing something new on this page, right? So, we do videos every Monday for Music Monday, and we're going to spice it up here. We're going to start some champion chats. This is episode 1. So, we all know this is Cancer Awareness Month in October, right? So we're going to talk about that because we have some real issues that we need to talk about because we all need to take care of ourselves. All right. If you're here, if you're watching live, go ahead and drop in the comments where you're watching from. Tell me your city. Shout out your city. And while you're doing that, for those of you who are not familiar with Champion Girl, let me give you a quick synopsis of who we are and why we're here. So Champion Girl Productions was founded in honor of my mother who passed away from pancreatic cancer. We'll talk about that next month. Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month is in November. But my family, we started this to make her legacy endure using things that she liked to do. So she was very into the arts and she was a playwright and things of that nature. So anything you see on this page is going to have to do with uplifting each other, the music, arts, theater, that sort of thing. Hey, Kendra, I see you there. Shout out, Ohio. My Aunt Daphne in St. Louis. Hey, I see you there. All right. So, in the comments, tell me, who do you know personally who has had breast cancer, been affected by breast cancer in some sort of way? So, an aunt, a mother, a close friend, yourself. Who do you know who's been affected? I know a lot of us know a lot of people who have been affected by breast cancer. It could be a coworker, anybody. Breast cancer not only affects women, it affects men as well. So this is not just a female conversation. So this is something we want everybody to take heed of. So we've got some names dropping in the comments, people you know who have had breast cancer. Okay. See a name Shirley, that's my aunt, a grandmother. So these are all reasons why we need to take care of ourselves and be proactive. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So you might want to know how I'm connected to this whole breast cancer conversation. So I had an aunt who was diagnosed with breast cancer at a very early age. I believe she was about 25 years old. She did pass away from breast cancer. I've had a couple of other people, another aunt who's still living, a grandmother who had like stage 0. But so a lot of people in my family. And after my mother died about 8 years ago, it really caused me to look introspectively and think how I could be more proactive about my health. So, I shared my family history with my breast doctor and just told her, who in my family had breast cancer and at what age they had it. I went and had genetic testing done to see if I had the BRCA gene. I did not. But because of my family history and my aunt being diagnosed at such an early age, that was cause for me to start doing early screenings, because usually they tell you to start your mammograms around 40. But if you've had people in your family get breast cancer way earlier than that, you should start earlier. And you have to let your doctor know your family history so they can help you with that. So because of that, I was on high risk screenings, which means every 6 months I would rotate between having a 3D mammogram and an MRI. So over the years, they had found things in my breast that ended up, they biopsied them, they were benign. They were not cancerous. But had I not been doing high risk screenings, it could have become, malignant or something that could have caused me problems. So it's good to be proactive so they can find things early and address them. So fast forward to 2020, COVID hits, right? Everybody's stuck in the house. People are skipping doctor's appointments. Uh, they're not even allowing you to have some procedures that are not medically necessary because of COVID. I have a dream one night, guys. I have a dream. I wake up that morning, and as clear as day, I hear, why don't you ask your doctor when you go for your appointment, which is coming up? Why don't you ask your doctor if people with your family history have ever chosen to have a double mastectomy without being diagnosed with cancer? I'd never thought about that before. It's not something I came up with on my own. So I'm like, oh, okay, God, I'll ask the doctor. So I asked the doctor, had people ever chosen to do that before? And she said, well, yeah, yeah. So people have. She said, we'll work with your insurance as long as they say you have a certain percent likelihood of developing breast cancer in your life, they will cover it. So they covered it. So last summer in July of 2020, I proactively had a double mastectomy with reconstruction. So it was a big surgery to have. It's not something that people would usually just wake up and decide to do. Um, you guys probably remember Angelina Jolie a couple of years ago. She made that decision. She had a double mastectomy because her mother, I think she had the BRCA gene. Her mother, I think, maybe had a cancer like in her female organs. So Angelina had a double mastectomy and she had a hysterectomy just because she was like, look, it's too risky. I don't want to chance it. I'm going to go ahead and have this surgery. Um, so I did that. And another reason why it was, um, everything happened really quickly. So I have the dream in June. I tell my doctor's like, all right, fine. I'll do the surgery, but I'm about to move to Florida in July. So if you want me to do your surgery, you have to do it in the next 4 weeks. I was like, okay. So I didn't really have time to, talk myself out of it. So either I believe this is what I'm supposed to do and I'm doing it now, or if I sit there and wait and contemplate and, well, what if this, and talk myself out of it, then I've missed my window. I have to start over, find a new doctor. And by that time, I probably just would have lost the nerve and not done it. So that is my connection to October and the breast cancer awareness story is, if I had not shared with my doctor my family history, I would not have been doing high risk screenings. Had I not done high risk screenings, they wouldn't have found benign things in my breast. And had I not been under the doctor's care, I wouldn't have even had the conversation to say, hey, do you think maybe it's reasonable that I have this surgery? So since having the surgery, I have a less than 1% chance now of developing breast cancer in my life. They will not tell you 0% just as a medical professional, just because, what if they left a microscopic cell somewhere under your skin, which is very unlikely. But basically, I don't have to worry about that anymore. That's a decision I made for myself. And it's been a year past that, and I don't regret it at all. So I have a friend that I am going to bring on in just a second. So we have a mutual friend. Shout out to Catherine Green. We have a mutual friend. Catherine knew that I had the double mastectomy. She also knew that our guest was going to be contemplating if she was going to be doing that as well. So she connected us together and we started talking about it. So to talk to you guys about her journey, let's bring on Ebony.
Oh, hello, hello, hello.
Yay, guys! So, just a little background on Ebony. So, today is actually the first day we've seen each other face to face. Like we've talked on the phone, we've texted, all of that good stuff. This is our first time seeing each other, so this is
Right.
this is exciting for
This
us.
is exciting.
Yeah. So, Ebony, you're in Georgia, right?
Yes,
Atlanta.
yes. Well,
Okay.
Lawrenceville, actually, Lawrenceville.
Okay. Lawrenceville,
Right.
Georgia,
Lawrenceville,
is
Georgia.
an educator, so a teacher.
Ooh, ooh, 17 years.
Yes. And we all appreciate teachers
Thank
since
you.
COVID and kids being at home with us all day. Thank you, teachers.
You're welcome. You all have a better appreciation now, I'm sure.
We do, and you guys need a raise
Oh, please
pronto.
continue to pray that through,
Oh,
all
yes,
the way through.
pronto, pronto. So Ebony has a husband by the name of Osai,
Yes, yes.
and not one, not two, not three, four children. Four,
Four.
four,
Four. I say four no more. That's when I
four.
get real,
No
like this
more.
is not happening again.
No. Say not
But we are
again.
grateful. We are grateful for our four babies. They are amazing, amazing,
Yeah,
a blessing
that's a
to us.
blessing. Definitely. So, Ebony, I'm going to let you take it from here. Just kind of talk about your diagnosis story and kind of
Okay.
how that all evolved for you.
Whew, all right. Take a deep breath. All right, Ebony. So, because this is the first time I'm actually talking about it out loud so that others can hear. There are going to be a lot of people when they view this, like, wow, I had no idea. Oh my goodness, But thank you, everyone, for coming on tonight to see and hear about the journey because that's exactly what it was. I say is because I'm still on it. This is a journey. Getting the diagnosis of breast cancer in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was frightening. It was frightening. But before it even happened, I was actually going into the hospital to have a hysterectomy. So when you mentioned Angelina Jolie, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that. But yes, I was going in for a hysterectomy. I took the BRCA1 test, or I took the test and got screened and found out that I was BRCA1 positive. However, it is very important to gain understanding when doctors talk to you
Mm-hmm.
because I did not really understand fully what that meant. BRCA1 gene, okay, you have the potential to carry all types of cancers, breast cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic, or you name the cancer, it is possible. It can possibly happen. And in my whole holiness state, I was,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I plead the blood of Jesus, and I'm not, and I'm like, so I did not continue to even worry about that. I did do my checkups, and I was very on top of it. I'm like, oh, I'm 40. I need to go get a mammogram. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were in the pandemic, and when they opened up, or they started opening up, I went ahead and got a call from the doctor, and I was like, yes, it's time. Let me just go ahead and do it. I'm going to do my hysterectomy, so let me go ahead and get my mammogram. And I went in to get the mammogram, and they called me back. When they called me back, I wasn't nervous or scared or anything because they had nothing to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, I'll come back. And they said, well, possible biopsy, no problem. I'm like, whatever you're doing, do it before my hysterectomy, okay? So they went ahead. I went back. I got the biopsy, and they said they're going to send it off. And I did well with that, not thinking about anything. In July, went ahead and did the hysterectomy, and I'm in the hospital alone for 3 days, 3 long days, because we couldn't have anyone come in with us.
Right.
On the third day, the day that I was leaving the hospital, the doctor came in. She said hysterectomy went well, and she talked about, you got up, you moved your bowels, you went ahead and walked, you can go home. And she said, well, I do have your biopsy came back, and she said it's invasive ductal carcinoma. I said, I don't know what that is. I said, what's that? She said, it's cancer. She said, I'm sorry to tell you that it's cancer. And
12.
yeah, I just, I said, okay, eyebrows raised just like this. Okay. And once she left, she said, let us know. I mean, she was very empathetic, let us know, and we'll continue to keep monitoring you. We'll definitely give you resources to read upon it. And right now, you just need to go home and heal from the
Mm-hmm.
hysterectomy. She said, don't worry about it. I mean, because when she said it, she's like, it's cancer. And so it's not, nothing's going to happen between now and 6 weeks. But because that's the time of healing, and so
Okay.
she said it so nonchalantly. And in my mind, I was like, okay, that's all I kept saying. I had no words, and she left the room. I broke, like broke, tears,
Oh, yeah.
crying. And then it's just me. So I'm like, oh my god. And then
Right.
I FaceTime my husband, and I couldn't get a word out. All you heard was, and he was just like, he knew it was bad. He did. He knew it was bad, and he just let me. And so I mean, he was the greatest during this whole process.
Yeah.
Again, the moving forward, because I don't want to give too much, because I have some things coming up, but I don't want to give too much. Moving forward in this story, I went ahead and we healed. I healed. I just went home and healed. I did what the doctor said. I couldn't think any further. My sister, I call her my Esther. Oh my goodness, she's a researcher, so she began doing research, and she's like, okay, we're going to get ahead of this. We're not going to fight alone in this family. No one fights alone. Shout out to Tamika.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I still couldn't wrap my mind around it. I couldn't wrap anything around it, because I really thought like this not me. God,
Right.
no, God, we bound this generational curse, God. you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to
Yeah.
remember, like you got a gene, Ebony.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gene. It's
Right.
a gene, and while God can, it's still a gene. So now
Mm-hmm.
let's take what we know, and we still believe, we still trust, because I thank God for my husband. He's a therapist, and he was just like, "So how do you feel?" I'm like, "Well, I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
I am upset." He's like, "Well, who are you upset with?" I'm like, "Really? You gonna ask that question?" I'm upset with God. I can laugh about it now. I'm like, I'm upset because I thought God heard me when I bound it, and when and I went into, and he's like, that's good. He keeps that calm,
Yeah.
and he's like, yeah, and he's like, it's okay, and voice that and share that with God, and it's okay. And he's like,
Mm.
and at the end of that, you still want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Believe God.
Right.
Believe God in through this, and know that He works all things out, and He does all things well. And this is just going to be a part of your story. And look at me now; it's a part of my
Ooh.
story, and I'm sharing it.
Wow. So that had to be, so that kind of, he balanced you out at that moment.
He balances me out.
Oh, continues to.
He does. He does. He does. So I'm grateful for where we are now. Like I said, it's still a journey. I am 8 months cancer free. Let's clap for that.
Yeah.
8 months having
Y'all better
gone
clap,
through.
clap in the
Right,
comments. We
please,
want some
please.
hands in the comments. Come on.
8 months cancer free. Went through chemotherapy. Had to do 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I did not have to do any radiation, because there was no cancer found in the lymph nodes. So they took a sample of the lymph nodes, and there was no cancer found in the lymph nodes.
Okay.
So I didn't have to do radiation for 8 rounds. It seemed like a really long time. It felt like a tunnel. Lots of things kind of went on with that, but we'll get to that in a second, because I know that there was a. We'll get to that. So, like I said, lots of things went on. I am truly grateful, and I say that with the most humblest that I can. That I'm still standing here today. I
Yes.
can.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. So, what stage were you diagnosed at?
They called it stage 2A because there were two tumors. One was uh, not large at all, it was really small, and about tenths of a millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was a little larger, but not large enough to be fully into stage 2, which is why they
Okay.
called it stage 2A. The cancer type was hormone positive breast cancer.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
That's
you
what they
guys,
called
while Ebony is talking about her experience, if you have questions, put them in the chat, and we'll try to address them if we can. We can ask her questions while she's here. Um, so what would you say your toughest day, or how did you explain it to your children?
Very good question. Uh, my oldest son, he is now 13. He was 12 at the time, and we did talk to him about it, but I sat down with my husband for a little while, and we kept talking, like, how do we bring this, to him? How do we address it? But I knew I wanted him to know because he
Hmm.
was of the age, right?
Right, right.
And we shared that with him. We sat him down and we said, hey, Samaj, mommy is about to do a surgery, and I shared with him, talked about the history. My mom, they do know grandma. So grandma, passed away from pancreatic cancer. She had colon
Hmm.
cancer, and then, passed from pancreatic cancer. And I shared with him that I've been going to doctors to be active and proactive, and trying to just make sure that I stay on top of things to take care of myself, right?
Hmm.
And I said, but mommy was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I shared with him. I did share this part with him because this was shared with me in the hospital, and from the Holy Spirit. Honestly, Holy Spirit said, "This is not unto death." And I said, if this is not unto death, then I can make it through. So I shared that
Hmm.
with my son because I needed him to have a reassurance that mommy was going to be okay.
Right, right.
So we shared that with him, and I said, so there may be times where I look a little tired, or times that you can't come near me, you and your siblings
Hmm.
can't come near me because my immune system will be compromised. And because, you play soccer and they're opening up a little bit, you kind of have to stay away. These are the things, and then and then I put on, and you'll have to help out a little more around the house. I had to add
Okay.
that in, right?
Do
Had
your
to
own laundry. Wash
do a
these
little bit more,
dishes.
right? Because daddy will be
Hmm.
taking care of me, and
Hmm.
you might have to. There'll be some times when you have to step up, big brother, and be there, with your siblings. Now, I did not come out uh, im- im- immediately and say to my daughter, because she's 7, I
Hmm.
didn't share, hey, mommy has breast cancer. But what I did share was, mommy's going to have a surgery. And
Hmm.
with the surgery, mommy's going to feel a little tired. She's going to be a little, tired or down, and may not be able to, hang out with you a little bit. But know that mommy's strong, right? And mommy's going to make it through because mommy's brave. And so these are some of some of the words that she has in her room. I am brave, and I try to use those words so that she can connect and have understanding.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then with the twins, I knew that they noticed something because I was just trying to keep them away.
Okay.
They're like, no, I want to see mommy. And but I knew that they wouldn't understand any of the things that I would share or say. So every now and again I'll try to keep my distance, but they couldn't, like, come jump on me because
Right,
after having the bilateral mastectomy,
right.
they can't come close. And the boys, they always want to lay on your little boobies, your
On
little
your chest.
right? They want to lay on, and they could not do that. So
Yeah.
it was hard for me.
Hmm.
I know it was hard for my husband, but he is a trooper, because I
Yes.
could not. When I tell you, whew, if my other half had, if it was a name for how I can describe what he was to me,
Hmm.
you know what, I can. He was my helpmeet. Oh, come on, that came through real quick.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
my helpmeet. He really was. And I
Hmm.
say he is, but when I'm talking about that time, which is why I'm using
Yeah.
the word was, he
Yeah.
was. Oh man, and he
Yeah.
it was amazing. So those were some of the difficult times, not being able to hug on them and not being as
Hmm.
intimate with my husband as I, desired to be. The feelings of nausea,
Hmm.
back spasms, and there were a lot of other things that went, a trip to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things came up. There were some times that were really, really, really hard and really low, but I pressed
Yeah.
through those lows. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I did. And I maximized my highs, because going through this diagnosis, it wasn't all
So tell us about the good
bad.
stuff.
Tell us about some of the things that came out of this. So, life is just precious, right? And so, out of this journey, a warrior came out.
Hmm.
When I can truly say that, they have warriors, but I can truly say that anybody that goes through a bout with cancer is a warrior.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yes.
A warrior.
So Ebony,
Yes.
we have a question in the chat. Did you ever break down in your alone time?
Oh yes, the one in the hospital. I don't know if she just joined, but or if they just joined, but yes, I had a broke down, and it wasn't just one time breakdown, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, you're going through this, and even though people are empathetic, even though you have your circle of people around you, because what you don't want to do is go through this alone, right?
No. Right.
I still had moments where I would just sit there and I'll just be like, oh my goodness, I have cancer.
This is happening to me.
This
Mm-hmm.
is like I'm really it kind of like those out of body experiences, and I'll just
Right.
have my towel, and I'll just sit there and cry because I had to
Mm-hmm.
work during this time. So I would
Mm-hmm.
have those kind of breakdowns, like I can't believe, like I can't even gather myself to go to work this morning. Now,
Right.
granted, I did get some accommodations with my job, and I'm grateful. Again, that story, you can listen to that story on some things that I have coming up later. Uh, but it was just still, I felt alone sometimes, honestly.
Yeah.
And you do, because nobody understands what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Even someone who has been through breast cancer or gone through it before you, because I spoke to a lot of people. I spoke to you, I spoke to
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other women who have gone through this journey before me, but their journey is not the same as mine.
Right.
I
Right.
had my surgery before I went through chemo.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin of mine, who also had breast cancer, she's my older cousin. She did her treatment and then did her surgery. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have people who just do a uh, mastectomy, just one, just removing
Right.
one, or just removing the area, the breast, the area in the breast, and then keeping
Mm-hmm.
their booby. So it's
It's all
everybody's journey is
different.
different, right? Right. But
Right.
I had my breakdowns, and it's okay to have them. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Because that's my truth. And you
Yeah.
have to sit in your truth and be
Mm-hmm.
okay with where you are. So I
Mm-hmm.
did, it wasn't always happy go lucky. But I did maximize my highs though. I did. Because I
Right.
had treatment a day after Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and I had treatment the day before Christmas. So
Okay.
it's like, wow, you have treatment on these, and then I had treatment the weekend before my birthday, my 41st birthday. So this is all happening,
Yeah.
and I had to I couldn't say I'm just going to be down and out the whole time, but I
Mm-hmm.
had to figure out ways to maximize my highs and press through those lows.
Yeah. So it
Mhm.
sounds like you had a good support system as well.
I
Your
did.
faith, I know, carried you through.
That because it was a preparation phase. So just to give you, and then a little bit more, I immediately, my hair was short. I had very long hair. Like, you can go through my Facebook or Instagram and see my very long hair, but I cut it off, and I had a short haircut once the twins came, because that was just a lot of work trying to get all of them
Yeah.
ready and try to get myself together. It was too much, so I
Mm-hmm.
cut it off. Short haircut, short hair don't care, right?
Right,
But
right, right.
I chopped it off, like a big chop. I went bald, or fade, if you want to call it that, right before I had the surgery, or before I
Okay.
started the chemo, because I wanted to get ahead of it. What I didn't want to
Yeah.
be laying in the bed and see pieces of my hair just falling out,
Right, right,
big
right.
chunks of your hair falling out,
Yeah.
right? That, because I knew that would get me,
Yes.
because my hair was one of those things. I'm like, I was very big on my hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me get ahead of this. Let me chop my hair off. Let me do that.
And you know yourself, so you know, like, I have to deal with this hair situation. Like, okay, I know I have cancer. I got treatment coming up. I need to handle this hair.
Right.
So that's good for you, because that can be devastating when your hair starts to
I,
fall
I,
out.
I felt like it would have been. So when someone
Yeah.
told me I had to do the aggressive chemo treatments for my first 4 rounds, and that would have been devastating to me. So I went ahead and did the big chop, and was
Yeah.
okay with it. Of course, my hair did like it. I was skin to skin.
Yeah.
It came out. So I'm looking now like, oh, look at this hair, and I'm grateful. It's the little
Hmm.
things. This hair
Yes.
is growing back, y'all.
Yes. Y'all better give her a hand clap. She's getting that hair back.
Look at these curls.
Look at that curl
It
pattern.
grows back better. I heard it grows back better. It grows back. I mean, and so I'm just going to continue to. I love short hair now, but I think I'm going to continue to grow it out, just so that it can continue to be a part of my testimony.
Yes. I like that. So we have one more question, and then we're going to talk
Okay.
about the special thing you have coming up that you
Okay.
want to tell everybody
Okay.
about.
Okay.
Have you adjusted your diet at
Yes,
all?
I had
Okay.
to. There was so there is no you go through cancer and then continue to do what you're doing as far as,
Right.
eating the same things you've been eating and just not working out. One of the things that I was doing before the diagnosis came was working out. I was going in.
Mm,
And what I am continuing to do now is work out because there's some things that the doctor did share that I'll have to do for about another 5 years or so. And I'm like, really? I said, so what are the side effects on that? And please don't look up on Google side effects. That thing will throw you. You
mm.
would feel so down about, you feel like you're already dead. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest with you. So
Yeah.
just be careful with looking up side effects or looking up what diagnosis and things of that nature because it's really not as horrible as it seems. I'm grateful that I am able to continue to still work out because that's one of the things that kept me strong. My doctor did say that they love to talk about my case, and I'm like, well, why? She's like, well, because you just I know you're going through, and I know some days but you are coming in here. Your levels are. I never had levels that were low. Whew. I had
Mm-hmm.
a young lady. She and I'll talk about her later. You'll hear about more about her in that thing that I have coming up.
That thing.
That thing, right, right. So she was my juice maker, and I'm sure I could probably do my own juicing, but I didn't have that kind of energy or time. And she would make my green juice, and whew, my goodness, that green juice, and I would drink it daily, and it continued to keep my levels. And anytime my levels they were like, well, this was a little high. So she would go ahead and talk to her, reference her person and then add something or take away something in the juice. I had ginger shots. And I was sharing this. I'm like, hey, y'all need this green juice. Hey, y'all need this ginger shot.
Wow.
Again, because those were the things that were helping me having to still go to
Mm-hmm.
school in the
Yeah.
pandemic. I was still able to make it through. And not once, let me just knock on this here wood and thank the Lord, not once did I have any sickness or anything like that. If it was sickness, it was due to the something not going right with the chemo not affecting either
Mm-hmm.
what I'm eating or something like that. So
Wow.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean, changing the diet. That's
That
that's
is a must. It is a
a
must.
real thing. It's a real
It
thing.
is a real thing. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can't have a once in a while, just go back and say, hey, I would like there's some things that people just feel like they can't give up. But I would suggest this if you do anything, get a nutritionist and make sure it's a nutritionist
Wow.
that helps you with you make sure you tell them everything, tell them
Mm-hmm.
what you have going on, ailments, things that you're allergic to, or and then they'll go ahead and work with you on that and get you a therapist too because I have a cancer therapist.
Ooh. Ooh.
Let's talk about that, right?
Let's talk about having a therapist. Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about having a therapist.
Black people.
Mm,
Let's talk
okay,
about having a therapist.
right, there's
Okay.
nothing wrong with it.
Yes.
I am all for it because there are some things that need to be talked about. And now that I have a cancer therapist, her focus is mainly about helping me deal with some of the things that I have to do after, because it just doesn't stop when you finish with your chemo
Right.
treatments or you finish with this is a journey. I'm still on it,
Right.
guys. I
Right.
am. I'm just brave. I feel brave enough to tell it now. And God, and somebody has to hear our story,
Yes.
right? Because
Yeah.
somebody has to know, like your story is being told too.
Right. Right. Because, Ebony and I had talked about this that nobody really knew our stories. Mine either. I mean, I did not have breast cancer, but I had a double mastectomy last year. Nobody really knew about that because I put out videos every Monday on my page, on the Champion Girl page, covering a song. And I went to the extent of pre recording videos, like 4 videos ahead of time, so that they would post. I would schedule them to post while I was recovering.
See,
Nobody knew.
nobody knew.
There's a probably handful, like my friends, but
Right.
everybody
Right.
didn't know. So,
Mhm.
so yes, this is time for us to share what we've been through because when we go through things, it's not always about us. It's not
Mm,
always for us.
mm,
Sometimes we go through things and it's to help somebody else because had I not had my surgery, and I'm not saying God can use anybody, but our mutual friend wouldn't have been able to say, "Hey, Andrea, I've got this friend, Ebony. Maybe she can talk to you. She's got this going on." So when God puts things in your spirit, just an encouragement for everybody that's listening or watching. Sometimes it's just you just need to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to do it. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to
Ooh,
think it through and talk yourself in and out of it. Sometimes you just need to do it. And then you figure out why you need to do it after. I didn't know why I needed to have a double mastectomy out of the blue. I didn't know why I
right,
needed to do that, but I knew I
right,
needed to do it. And
right.
since then, there have been so many people who I have been
Mm,
connected with who have needed to have a conversation with somebody who did what I did.
wow. I know I had to have that conversation with you.
Yeah,
Just the fact that you had it weeks earlier, because you said
yeah,
July, right? So
yeah.
it meant that you had it. It was life saving to be able to have that conversation with you. And as a result, I have a relationship now. I have a friend now, right? So
Right.
one of the things that I appreciate about this time is intentional living and relationship keeping. Right. That's what.
That's
So
nice.
that's some of the things that came out of this journey. Right. A lover of life came out of this
Yes.
journey, living it to its
Yes.
maximum, its fullest
Mm-hmm.
potential. Because, as one of my friends always says, life doesn't give you a 2 week notice.
No.
No, it does not. All right.
Mm-mm.
Shout out to Diane. Life doesn't give you a 2 week notice. So at this point, you live it to its fullest. And
Right.
again, as you are on this journey, being able to share with someone. So I'm glad that I was able to definitely share with someone. Something else came out of this. You think I should share it now? Or you want me to wait?
No, go ahead. It's time.
It's time. Well, guys, a book came out of this journey.
Ooh,
A
she
book
wrote a book.
came out of this journey. Yes, I did. I wrote a book. And the title of the book is called About That Life, and it's about Ebony's journey. It's about my journey of going through breast cancer in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic, and how I made it through, right?
Yes.
Maximizing highs and pressing through lows, and not going through this alone. Being able to I put snippets of my life in there, because the book is it's not just about cancer. It's bigger than just cancer. As Andrea said, it's so much bigger than cancer. It's about sharing your story, because everybody has one. And I
Right.
feel like in sharing my story, someone will be able to get some takeaways, some tips, some things that they can do, ways that they can be proactive. I know that there are some people like, oh no, I'm not going to the doctor. I don't do doctors because doctors is a money making. It is a money making thing. Let's be honest, right? But you also have to remember that your life, and so
Yes.
you going to the doctor to be proactive can save lives of other people. I thought about my husband and my children and being there for them, so that as they get older, I can still be there, living and strong as ever, still moving and grooving. So, yeah, cut these
Hmm.
boobies off. Let's go.
Yeah, they can have those, right?
They can have them, right? And so, again, not going through this life alone. So I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more about, my book as I continue to go along. It should be coming out on or before November 16th. For those of you that's smiling, yes, that is my birthday. Definitely wanted to
Yes.
do it this year. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. I was sitting on it for a while, because I knew that it started out as journaling. Honestly, I was journaling every time I was in chemo, because those out chemo was very long, 5 hours, sitting there 6 hours sometimes, and I was just journaling, typing, and it started with that, and then it turned into, well, wait a minute, like, let me drop a little piece of my story here, because my story is pretty good, or
Hmm.
good here. Good. There's some parts that I have you laughing. There's some parts that I have you like, oh wow. There's some parts that I have you, oh my goodness, Ebony. Yeah, that's gonna be you reading this book, getting your popcorn, right? Ooh, look at this tea, right? So it's not just about cancer, but it's me realizing that this bout has brought me to writing a book that others
Yeah.
can see, and I'm leaving a legacy here for my children, so they'll be able to always go back and search, like, hey, my mom been through this, but look at my
Right.
mom now. Go check her out.
Right.
She's, and that's one of the things that I wanted to be able to share with the people out there.
So let's bring back up that book cover because this book cover just has me super excited. I mean, look at this. Look at the quality,
Wow.
you guys,
Wow.
about that life. So talk about the title.
Okay. Well, about that life, it's initially when talking with one of my really good friends, Red Beans and Gravy. Shout out Red Beans and Gravy. He knows exactly who he is. Well, shout. We're talking with one of my really good friends. I shared. I'm like, well, I think I'm about to write a book, and I was like, I need a title. What you think about this? And I threw a title at him. I said, but you know what? Chew on it, sit on it. And then he came back. He said, well, thinking about your personality, thinking about you from Brooklyn, New York, those streets of Brooklyn. And he's like, you know what? You and he gave me some time and about that life stood out. I'm like, so when he said it to me, I said, yeah, I am about that life. I really am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You could go deep with it. I'm about that life of Christ, right? Or I'm
Right.
about that life, period. Like we don't do that in Brooklyn, New York. I'm about that life. Or about BOUT that life because it was a fight.
Yes.
I went through a fight, y'all. I
Mm-hmm.
did. I went through a fight, but I came out. I promise you, you would not have known had I not told you. So now that you know the story, go buy my book.
Go buy the book. Exactly. And if you want to know more about the story, go buy the book.
There you go. So
Go
follow
buy the
me
book.
on. I am on Instagram. I am also on Facebook. Facebook, I am Ebony Harvey. On IG, I am at eb.nyc. And I have hashtags that you can also, type in hashtag down for the cause because I'm definitely down for this cause.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag breast cancer. Be aware. We need to be more aware, period, because it can happen to anyone.
Right.
Hashtag about that life. Hashtag don't fight alone. Do not fight alone. Do not fight alone. And hashtag battle for the boobies, the number 4 battle for the boobies. So please hashtag and follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and it will definitely be out on or before November 16th about that life.
So excited. So you guys, you need to follow her on Instagram, Facebook, because you need to know when the book is coming out,
Yeah.
right? So you need to follow her. It's up on the screen, eb.nyc. That's Instagram. When the book comes out, we're also going to come on the Champion Girl page and let you know that it is out with a link so you can go and buy it
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
tell your friends and your family to go buy it. So she has a magnificent story to share that's going to help somebody. There, I mean, there's things I didn't even think about today where you were talking about, holistic health and having a nutritionist and the
Mhm,
green juice and all of that. So, we have to attack our health on from various different angles.
mhm.
Exercise, eating well, going to the doctor. So, let's remove the stigma from
Yes,
going to the doctor.
yes, yes.
Let's go get our mammograms,
Mhm,
ladies.
yes,
If
yes.
you have not made your appointment this year,
Please do.
let's get it in before this year is over. Get
Please
your
do.
mammogram, do your self exams because everything is not going to be detectable with a self exam.
Mhm,
So just doing your self exam is not enough. You need to go and get imaging done. If you get a mammogram and they say you have dense breast tissue,
mhm.
you can request to have a 3D mammogram
Sure can.
so they can get a better picture of what's going on there.
And
So,
they don't tell you that. So please, ladies, request it. You can request a 3D mammogram. You can. Please request it. And then I thought about this as you were talking. Everybody either knows someone that has gone through, maybe going through. I finished my bout, and then I got a call from someone that said, "Hey, so I know someone that's going through. Can you?" And I went ahead and bought a warrior bag. I went because guess what? Somebody bought that for me, a warrior
mhm,
bag, and I carry my warrior bag and things that I can do. They bought me books that I can read
mhm,
or little things that you can do, a gift, a care package, and I was grateful. So what are we doing? We're passing it along. So you know of someone.
yeah.
Don't sit on it. And yes, I'm plugging my book, but I'm also trying to help you all to see that this is something that we together can, and it's going on around us. Let's
Hmm.
be aware.
Yeah, let's uplift each other. Let's pass along the things that we learn to other people. This has been a great discussion. I want everybody who is watching today, if you have not already liked or followed Champion Girl Productions, please do so on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. We're going to start having these chats more often. Next month, the topic is pancreatic cancer. So, Ebony and I realized that we had that in common as well. Both of our mothers passed away from pancreatic cancer. Not a lot of talk about that cancer. There is more nowadays. There's more celebrities that are being diagnosed with it. But the next chat, pancreatic cancer, next month, November, that is the awareness topic for next month. So we just want to thank everybody for joining. This was our
Thank
first
you.
show, Champion Chat. This was great.
It
Ebony, you
was.
were
Thank you
a
so much.
natural. Thank you, everybody, for watching and commenting. And we will check you guys out next month.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone. Thank you
Have a
so much,
good
Andre, for
weekend.
having me on the show.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.